Okay, so first and foremost, okay, so I just want to thank everybody who's here. I know that this is like a holiday season, but this is a very important way to celebrate every day and every night, and every day and every night is really like a holiday if you really think about it. So because we're so grateful that we are here. So I do want to do this in memory of Betty's very special husband, David Ben Shaul. And this should be an aliyah to his neshama. And the topic is Amuna. And we were starting now with those 6 constant mitzvahs, okay? And they're very important on many fronts. First of all, they are the key to what transforms you into being the best person that you can be. And they're like real keys to the foundations of what Amuna is, okay? And we really have to appreciate, like, every building has to have a foundation. The stronger the foundation of the building, the better off your building is. Less chance for all those wonderful things to happen, like, you know, leaks in the basement or chas v'shalom, what happened in Florida, like where the whole building can really collapse. Like it's you know, something that we take for granted, but we really shouldn't. So the 6 constant mitzvahs are the foundations of building of your amuna. It also teaches you what's in every mitzvah, okay? Because every mitzvah, just like we said, like when Hashem paints an artist, not only Hashem, paints a beautiful mural of this world, you've got to take a look at like each little piece of the mural. When you look at each piece of the mural, then you can really see the artist's, you know, style throughout the whole picture. And that's the same thing with the 6 constant mitzvahs. So let's just like quickly remember just what they are on a very surface, just knowing them. So we said one is to know Hashem, like literally like that very first of the 10 commandments, right? And when we were talking about the 13 principles of faith, all of these are intertwined, okay? So one is to know that there is Hashem, to know that there is only one, okay? All of these things are so important. To love Hashem and to fear Hashem, to believe that there is no other God. There's only one God who's supervising us, and that we should not go after our eyes and our hearts. All right. So we really have to stay in tune. And it's funny, like I'm just feeling, I don't know if anyone else, like I want people to tell me how you guys are feeling. Like I was sick over Shabbos, but I felt better today. And I had to go with my husband shopping. So I remember when I was younger, like Boxing Day was this whole big deal. Like, does anybody remember doing this? Do you remember waking up early? Like, I remember getting up like at 6 a.m. and lining up in front of stores. Okay, so like today that is like so passe. I don't think anybody does that anymore because everybody really shops online, right? And today, like my husband needed some things really badly. So I just said, that's it, we're going. I don't care if it's Boxing Day or not. It wasn't really busy. It wasn't at all like what it once was. And it was such a funny feeling, like, you know, like the stores took all their compartments, like let's say the Bay, and they made a very small shoe department and a very small shirt department and a very small, you know what I mean? And there wasn't a lot of stuff. And it was, I don't know, it just had this kind of feeling like a lot of the things that once were are no longer. You know, like, and it sounds funny, but it just felt like, what? Besides the fact that everybody was wearing masks, and it just, like, I can't explain it to you. Like, I just didn't feel like it once, like what it once was. You know what I mean? So it's very hard sometimes to feel things in our lives that are constant. And it's funny that I'm talking to you about something called 6 constant mitzvahs. So I'm going to tell you now that the longer I'm on the planet, the only thing that I'm seeing that's going to be constant is the need for your amuna. That much I see is constant. Anybody else agree with me? Like,
Yeah.
you know, isn't it interesting? No, Betty? Like, it's just interesting. Like, things are just changing and changing and changing. But the only thing I see that is constant is that need for Hashem and that constant need for amuna. And I feel like it's more precious now than it ever was. And I almost feel like it's like there's such a kind of weird fog. Like I feel like we're all walking around in a fog. And it's funny. Like the clarity is like, I know that Hashem is behind all this. Like this isn't just, you know, an accident. Like there's a reason for everything that's happening right here. And I need that 6 constant mitzvahs to make it make sense, and to make it more than that, be meaningful, and to make me be able to grow through this whole strangeness that I'm feeling. Like I'm feeling like this isn't the the same world that I once knew. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like I don't know if I'm being silly. I'm getting too old. I don't know what it is, but that's just the feeling that I'm having. And I'm really seeing like how I understand now, like we have to review this, and you really have to get it into your kishkas, because life itself will keep changing pages on you. Things will keep changing, and you're like, wait a minute. We need something that is constant, right? That we know we can always, like, is that foundation that's always there for us, that I can take it under all and every circumstance, right? So, because we need to take it with us all the way into what we call this olam haba, in this world to come. And the more you will develop this amuna, and the more you will have this as your constant, the more you'll be welcoming this world to come, the more you'll be knowing what to do in the world that you're in right now. Do you know what I mean? The more like this will all have meaning rather than this like fog. So I just think like there's so much here that's like so beautiful. So I was going to tell you a cute story. I don't know this person personally, but it was a nice story. His name is Gershon Kalvinetsky. Okay, not bad. Okay, Gershon Kalvinetsky. Okay, so Gershon Kalvinetsky survived a surgery. It was a very serious surgery, and Baruch Hashem, he's feeling much better. And so the nurse comes into the room and says to him, you know, Gershon, I just want you to know, soon you're going to be leaving the hospital, and you'll have to be discharged. And, you know, and don't forget, we can always cut off your bracelet. You know, you're going to be able to get it. You're a free man. So he says to the nurse, you know what, I want to tell you something. I don't want you to cut my bracelet off. So she goes, what are you talking about, Mr. Kalvinetsky? That's like the first thing most people want to get rid of, like out of the hospital, get this off, you know, it's the first thing you want to take off. So he says, no, you see, I want it like a souvenir. So she goes, you really want a souvenir? Most people don't want souvenirs of their hospital stay. So he said, yeah, you see, I had a very long life. You know, I've survived a lot of different things. I survived the Holocaust. I was even in Siberia for a while. I've really been around. It's not been easy for me. And now God blessed me one more time. I survived this operation. He says, I don't want to forget. I want to take that bracelet. He said, I have a prayer bag, you know, where he keeps his talis. He said, I want to put that bracelet in there because I want to remember how grateful I am. You know, sometimes you forget your gratitude. So I want it to be constantly with me, so I can constantly remember. And just like I was so grateful, you know, that I can get out of the hospital and I'm alive and I'm well, and now maybe I can daven in a minyan again, I can go back to shul. When I'm going to pray again like that, I don't want the days to go by and after a while I'm like, it's so cold outside, why should I go? What do I need this for? Etc., right? So that's what these 6 constant mitzvahs are. They are 6 little souvenirs for you. Okay, these are 6 souvenirs that you hold on to constantly so that you will remember what you're here for. Okay, you remember what this relationship reality is between you and Hashem. And these 6 ideas, they're going to feed this relationship during the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like no matter what's going to be happening, right? These 6 concepts, these 6 ways of connecting to Hashem, they're going to feed your reality. So it's interesting when you look at our lives, there are mitzvahs that are constant, but we don't sort of view them that way. So I'm going to give you an example. Like when you buy your home, right? And like I've lived in my home already, almost 30 years, right? I don't know how long has everybody lived where they live. Like some people live there a very long time, whatever, you know, different places, different amounts of time, but you're there for quite a long time. So what's one of the mitzvahs you do when you come into your new home? What's like a mitzvah that everybody does? Very important that we all do.
Mezuzah. You put the
Yeah. Good girl. Okay, Betty, way to go. Okay, Betty. And
oh, by the way, so hold on, Gail, I'm going to close my video so you don't see me, but I'm not sure how to do this. So let me do that. I'm listening, but I'm just going to close the video.
Okay, so then it's me and Amita. Don't go, Amita.
There's quite a few people listening.
Yeah, go ahead. No problem.
I'm listening, Gail. We're here.
I know. I love you guys. What are you talking about? I know. Okay, so here's the thing. It's an interesting idea. Yeah, so you put up this mitzvah of mezuzah. So you think you do it once, like you just You put up that mezuzah, that's the mitzvah, done, finished. But is that really the case? The case is not. The case is that mitzvah is constantly there, and that mezuzah is constantly doing something. So what's that mezuzah doing? What's the message of the mezuzah? Like, it's important for us to know, what's the message? Like, really, when we're kissing it and we're looking at it, we're supposed to be inspired by it. So what's the message?
Hashem protects us?
Yeah, okay, good. Hashem protects us. You know, what's inside of it is the Shema. Okay, so the Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu, you know, V'ahavta Hashem Elokecha, right? And V'haya im Shamoa, and what will be if you listen. So that's a really strong, constant message. If you really looked at it, I would tell you the 6 constant mitzvahs are right in that. They're right in there. Okay, so it's not only like Hashem protects you, which is number one, and I know we all want to feel that, but it's also, what is the definition of a Jewish home to you? It's, what is this Jewish home? Like, this mezuzah is, you know, representing your motto. It's like your motto of a Jewish home. Like, you know, every business has its business motto, you know, like, we're here to please the customers, or I don't know what they are. They're different ones. But this motto is, you know, we believe in Hashem. We believe in the oneness of Hashem. We love Hashem. We fear Hashem. It's all those things. Do not go after your eyes and your heart, and only believe that there is one God. That is what defines your Jewish home. And so it looks like it's this one time I put up my mezuzah, but really it's a constant mitzvah. So many of the mitzvahs, like, it's interesting, are constant in that the 6 constant mitzvahs are tied into them. So I'm going to give you an example, which is something very interesting. Okay, you ready? So let's say your neighbor comes. Okay, nice people, whatever. Name is Susie. So Susie comes to your door, you know, goes, hi, she's going to Amita's house. Okay, hi, Amita, is it okay if I borrow your vacuum cleaner? You just won't believe what happened. Like, my vacuum cleaner just isn't working. And you're like, well, no problem. I'm going to let you borrow my vacuum cleaner. Okay, so why would you?
To help them.
Okay, to help them. Okay, so why would we say we would do it to help them? Because we look at our lives and we have a purpose and we have a munah. Like, we got to be real about this. Like, I know tons of people who would say, no, okay, I don't lend my vacuum cleaner because it's a small appliance. I don't want to get you into trouble. I don't want to get me into trouble. Like, if you break it, it's just not going to be a comfortable story between us. And, you know, I use it all the time. Like, tons of people would do that. I'm just being real. It's going to take a lot for you to be motivated to do certain kinds of chesed. Okay, fine. So Amita happens to be a sweetheart. So it was like not even a, you know, blink of the eye. She went, of course, because I want to be kind to people. Okay, great. So you did. It feels so good. Okay, now the next day, Amita, you need something from this Susie. Okay, so you go over to her house and you knock at the door and you say, hi, Susie, you know, I'm wondering, do you have one of those, like, I don't need a big vacuum cleaner. I'm just wondering if you have one of those handheld, like that dust buster thing, you know, I want to do my car. Okay, by any chance, do you have something like that? And she goes, you know, Mita, that is so weird. I just bought one, but I don't lend those kind of things. And you're like, what did you say? No, Amita, like, I just don't lend that kind of stuff. Okay, have a good day. And she closes the door. Now you go home. Okay, so how do you feel? Just
Weird.
how?
Weird. I feel
Okay,
weird.
you feel weird. You don't really feel that great about
Used,
that.
you
What?
feel used.
Okay, now listen carefully. I want to tell you, like, this is like beyond belief. Okay, what I'm going to tell you now. Okay, you're right. You feel very used. You do. Like, you know, this is real. We're talking real life. Okay, we're talking real. All right. Okay, so you feel very used. All right, fine. You don't know what to say. All right, try and put it out of your mind. You know, it bothers you, right? Try and put it out of your mind a little bit. Next day, you get a knock at the door. Guess who it is? It's Susie. And guess what she wants? The vacuum cleaner again. Okay, Sandy, you're on. What's the Torah tell you you have to do?
You have to lend it.
Yeah. Not only do you have to lend it, how do you have to lend it, Sandy?
Besimcha.
Yeah. So what would you want to say? Like, let's be very
Like to
honest.
slam the door in her
Yeah.
face.
Okay. First, we'd like to slam the door. That's number one. But if you're not going to slam the door, okay. So, okay, I'm going to be a little bit of.
It's a small appliance. I don't lend them.
Yeah. It's a small, you want to say what they said to you, like tit for tat. Or one more is this one. Well, Susie, I know that you didn't lend me your appliance, but I'm happy, of course, to lend you mine. Okay, cha-ching. Okay, you can't do any of those. None. Why? Because the Torah tells you do not take revenge. Like now,
But Gail, aren't you supposed to correct somebody if they
you
do
know
something?
what? You would have to correct her much later at a different time. You have to correct her with no bias of your own. Can you imagine that? Like, that's tough, okay? So you have to like Hashem's really asking you for big stuff here. I'm being honest, like that's not simple. Okay, so now let's go over it in our heads. Because how could he? Like how could you, God? Like, we are people. Okay, but if you are someone who's been living with the 6 constant mitzvahs, and you really integrated this into your system, then you'd be able to do it. Do you see what I mean? Like, this is what this
A
is.
very hard level.
Very, but we're gonna have to work. This is it. I'm not saying it's not, and even the Torah is not saying it's not, but it's saying it can be.
It is difficult.
Yeah, it's very difficult. I agree. So let's go through this for a minute. Okay, so let's go through this like for a minute, because this is tough. Like, like there's a concept in the Torah. For this moment you were born. Let me explain. I'll tell you a story, true story. I heard it from Rabbi Joey Haber, but it's famous. So in Eretz Yisrael, there was like a very renowned Rebbe. He was a teacher, like a grade 6 teacher. But it was a really good guy. Like, everybody loved him in Yerushalayim. Very beloved Rebbe. The kids love him. Everybody loves him. And he was very devoted. Like, he never came late to school, never took any time off. Like, when he was in the classroom, he was in the classroom. He wouldn't make phone calls. Anyway, one day he's in the classroom and he says to the boys, "I'm so sorry, I just thought of something." And he runs right out of the classroom. And the principal sees this guy running right out of the classroom. He's like, "What's happening?" And he sees him go to the teacher's lounge for a second, pulls out his cell phone, and he hears this conversation. "So yeah, that jacket? I know you were cleaning for Pesach. Yeah. So did, mommy put that jacket in the garbage bag? Yeah. And the garbage man? Yeah. Oh, okay." I hung up and he ran right back into classroom. Fine, everything fine. So the principal, like, at the end of the day, was a little bit disturbed. Like, he was just curious, like, what was that all about? So he calls the guy into the office and he says to him, "Moshe, I know you're a very devoted teacher. I've never seen you really do something like leave the classroom just to make a phone call. And then over like a very obscure conversation, like, I'm so sorry, I'm a little embarrassed, but I was listening in." Okay, so, and now I got to be honest, I'm so curious. Like, what was that all about? He says, "You won't believe what I'm going to tell you." He says, "My daughter is getting married in a couple months, and I borrowed a lot of money, a lot of shekel, because I couldn't afford the wedding. And thank God somebody lent me this money, and I put it in an envelope and I put it in my old suit. While I was in the classroom, it hit me that my wife is cleaning for Pesach, and every year she goes through all the old clothes. And I suddenly hit me, I have a feeling that she's going to throw that jacket out." And that's exactly what happened. She threw the jacket out. The garbage man came, finished. The principal's like, "What? You mean you lost all this money and your daughter's going to have a wedding and you didn't like come to me and tell me to substitute so you could run home and ask your wife?" And like the principal's like all nuts. You know what I mean? So the Rebbe said, when I was a little boy, I had a teacher. He used to tell stories of all these like hard challenges in life. And he'd say, "There will come a time for all of you And that was the moment why you're on this planet. And that's tough. That's really tough, right? Like he could have like that's the kind of stuff like, I don't know, like, husbands don't like it even on the best of days when you throw out their old sweater. Okay, so forget it. You know what I mean? That you threw it out with a couple 100,000 shekel in it. Right? So you could just imagine, okay? So these 6 constant mitzvahs, they have to train you to become a different person. Because all these other mitzvahs that we talk about, like, yes, you know what I mean? Like you want to do them and you believe they're good and they sound so wonderful, but to actually put them into action when push comes to shove is a whole different ball game. And the only way the Torah is telling you you're going to be able to do that is if you really know the fiber of what's going through every single mitzvah out there. And the fiber that's going through every single mitzvah out there is the 6 constant mitzvahs. Okay? Right? So you have to believe whatever is happening to you. Like, let's go to Susie and her, like, her attitude. So Susie's attitude is spiritual immaturity. Right? I'm just going to give that the new name. That's my new name for when we're not where we're at yet. Okay. So it's spiritual immaturity, right? The honest to goodness truth, when you buy an appliance, if it's going to last or not last or this or that, we're going to be as careful as we can. We can do our hishtadlus and we can even do maximum hishtadlus. I could read every single thing, in the instruction manual, then I can put it in a special, a foiled, special packet and file it away. And then I can practice using my little thing 100 times. And then 2 seconds later, what happens? Somebody walks by, knocks it over and gives it a good knack. Anybody have something like that happen? And you really tried, okay? So Hashem is telling you, if somebody asks you to borrow that appliance, there's no reason not to. The same Hashem who gave it to you will give you another one, give you 50 of them, give you 100 of them. And in fact, what did he give them for you? So you could dust bunny your house? Yeah, that's nice. You could dust bunny your house, but you could even do more than that. You could do mitzvahs and dust bunny 2 houses, right? So here, this is your spiritual maturity. When I first became a teacher in Cleveland, so it's the first time I taught, so I worked really hard, this was my first time, so I put a lot of hours in all my work. There was this girl who was my age, got married. She would call me every day and ask me for my stuff, right? I remember this so well. Like every day I would be biting my nails, like every day. Oh, okay, no problem. One day I asked her for her stuff. You know what she said? No, I don't lend my stuff. I'm like, what? Okay, like, wow. I was like beyond the moon. I could not believe it. And then I spoke to my husband and he helped me get over it. It was her loss, not my loss, and I only gained. But it was hard. You know what I'm saying? It was very, very hard. It took amuna, and it took what is this really all about? You know what I mean? What are we doing here? What is this really all about? What's the bigger picture here? So no one is saying this is easy. Nobody. But you can at least now understand, how can Hashem even demand this stuff from us? I really want to be honest. If you do not know the laws of gossip, when I'm with people who have no idea of Shmiras HaLashon, none, okay, let's say the average person in the world, they do not know that gossip is wrong, even when it's true, right? When you try to tell people, don't gossip, the first thing they say to you is, it's true. They don't understand, why aren't you allowed to say this if it's true, right? Now, if we did not believe in Hashem, it's very, very difficult not to gossip or not to do any of these things, because in your mind, it doesn't seem to make sense. This bothers me. This person bothers me. What she said bothers me. And I can't, you'll hear these people, I'll go it's enough. You don't have to, but I can't, they're such a terrible person. I just have to say how terrible they are. I see they're Their kunze kishkes are turning inside out. They mamish, they can't understand what we're talking about at all, right? This is what we're trying to say. Like these 6 constant mitzvahs are with you every minute. Like I have faith in Hashem in this minute, guess what? In the minute later, when Susie says to me, I'm not giving you my little hand vacuum cleaner, I need a lot more amuna than I had the minute before when everything was just, hunky-dory, wooey. Is everybody getting what I'm saying? Yeah? Amita, you have a question?
Yes. So even if we behave like it's somewhat my nature to give it back. Okay, even if the neighbor is saying no for her stuff, you keep giving, but the family members not always agree to it. They think sometimes we are naive or you don't understand.
So we're gonna take
nice. Like it's difficult to handle.
yes. Okay, so we're gonna take all the picture in total. Do you know what I mean? Like we're not gonna now start fights with your family members. Like we're gonna, you know what I mean? Everything is going to be in balance. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to have like your husband turn around and start screaming and saying, you know what, I'm really not ready for this and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? So we're going to get it and we're going to work with the priorities, right? And what's our priorities? Happiness and peace in our home. That's the number one priority. Okay. So we're not going to, what's it called? Say to her husband, well, too bad the Torah tells us. No, that's not going to work out. Okay, we're going to say, you know what, I really understand. Like for me, I'm willing to do it. But if you're really uncomfortable with it, it doesn't have to be right now. And that's fine too. And that's a mitzvah too. Do you see what I mean? But what I'm trying to teach you, I'm not you, I'm talking to myself, really. What I'm trying to teach myself is all of these mitzvahs that we have to extend ourselves. And we wonder, where are we going to have the koyach to extend ourselves? Because yes, when it is easy and when you accept it and when you understand it and you think it's so cute and it's so wonderful and I really get it. And, so-and-so isn't feeling well, so I'd love to send her a cake. That's great. But when it's going to be those times where you have to extend yourself, like I just wanted a day for myself and now I'm going to spend the whole day buying boots for my kid. You know what I mean? And let's say for you girls who still have young boys, like nothing was worse than buying pants for young boys. Why? Why is it the worst thing in the world to buy pants for young boys? Tell the truth. Because they don't
keep growing.
Yeah, they don't want to try them on. Boys hate when you take them shopping and you say, put the pants on. They're like, why do I have to put them on? You know what I mean? So like when you have to do these things, you're supposed to do them with a smile and do them with, can you imagine like when you're talking about like, because I love Hashem, I'm in awe of Hashem. That means like chovos halavavos is teaching you something really big. There are mitzvahs that are actions, okay? Things we do, we bench, we say a bracha, we do this, we do that. But then there's a whole realm in mitzvahs called duties of the heart. What does that mean? It's not enough to bench. It's not enough to be kind to someone. You have to do it with your heart. What does that mean? Explain what that means. What does that mean?
Just because
Say that again, sorry?
Sorry, I said you do it until you start to feel it.
Yeah, you have to feel, you have to put like, you have to put like a love in it. You have to put a care in it. You have to put a thought in it. Like that's this whole idea, with the Hasidim, the dancing while they're doing their mitzvah, they're so happy, they're this, they're that. It's not just, and if it is just, it wears away and it becomes a tedious job and you don't like it anymore. Right?
But isn't it a bigger mitzvah though to do something when you really, really, really don't want to do it, but you do it anyway?
That is a very big mitzvah, but the biggest mitzvah is to do it with joy. There's nothing more than doing, like even if you didn't want to do it, like at the end to turn around and you know what? Because I love you, God, you got my smile. You know what I mean? Right? 100%. So this is what I'm trying to say. So these 6 constant mitzvahs, that's what we're supposed to be building from them. Like that's what we're supposed to be like really tapping into them so that they can help us tap into all the mitzvahs we do and to the quality, that's a good word, the quality of what we do, not just the quantity, not just to keep doing, but to really affect the quality of our lives, right? Because a lot of what we're doing is just the same all the time. And it's very, very hard to have chadshus. It's very hard to feel like a newness and an enthusiasm if you just feel you're doing the same things all the time. So here the Torah is trying to tell you, no, it's never going to be the same. The world ain't going to stay constant, but I can give you a formula that you can help you work with it consistently, right? That you'll get like joy and good feeling, and it'll make you be that better person. And will come a time where you'll be able to lend that lawnmower or whatever it is, or vacuum cleaner, and you won't even think twice. Like you'll just be, you know what, Hashem, thanks for the opportunity. This was a great day. I got an opportunity. Instead of thinking everything you didn't have, you get to say, yes, this was great. Another great opportunity. This is what I want. I want to fill my Olam Haba basket. I want to fill my, my quota of good things to do today. It's just, I think it's such a nice idea. Okay, and that will give you this whole different appreciation of connection, right, to you and to Hashem. So let's look at the words amuna, knowing, because when it says for the very first one of the 6 constant mitzvahs is to know that there is Hashem. So that's that first, mitzvah that we talked about millions of times. So you know what? I don't care how many times we talk about it. You got to keep talking about it. What is the mitzvah of the 10 commandments when it says Anochi Hashem Elokecha Asher Hotzeisicha Me'eretz Mitzrayim? What is that mitzvah? Like someone, first of all, translate that sentence for me. Who can translate this sentence?
Yeah, I am Hashem, your God, who has taken you out of land of Egypt from the house of slavery.
Yes. Okay, beautiful. So what's the mitzvah? Okay, in other words, that sounds, that sounds very much like a statement. It sounds like a fact. And is it a fact or not?
Yes, to remember Hashem, otherwise we would be slaves forever.
Okay, so expound on that, really give it
of gratitude.
Okay, so many things. Okay, many things. Okay, so gratitude is a good one. Okay, so very important to look at Hashem and be very grateful. Okay, what would it mean that we would still be slaves in Egypt? What would that mean? What's the sad part about a slave's life?
No free will choice.
Okay, perfect. So a slave has no free will choice. So therefore a slave has no
control over their lives.
Nothing, no control of their destiny, no control of their creation, no control of their potential. That's what the saddest part is. Okay, so that's what we have to understand. It's an interesting idea. They say, if you want to know what makes an animal very special, or what makes anything that was created in this world very special. So how do we know what its function is, or what makes it special? How do we know? When we look at it, how do we know?
Observe it.
Perfect. Observe it. And what are you looking for?
How it behaves, what it does, how it's different from anything else.
Okay, perfect. You're looking at what makes it distinct. Do you know what I mean? When you want to see, let's say you look at a cat and a dog. Okay, so you're going to do a lot of comparisons, like tail, 4 legs, body, eyes. You know what I mean? We're going to start coming out to the things that make it distinct. All right. So when you look at man, how are we distinct over cat? It's very sad because there's still people today, really, if you look at PETA, they really believe that man and animal are not distinguishable. Appreciate them. They really appreciate the animal's life is equal to yours. They do not look, please do not think that they think you're better than an animal. If an animal has to die and you have to die, they would like you to go to court before anybody would make a decision. And they probably would like that the animal has equal rights to you. Do you know what I mean? For life. Okay, so we have to really appreciate that we need to qualify these things. Okay, so what makes man distinct?
Speech.
Yeah, Okay, so not just speech, but the depth of speech, right? So like, we have like animals have some basic communication, but we have like a much deeper communication. What else?
Free choice.
Okay, free choice. So where do we get free choice from? Is that from our body?
No, from our brain, our soul.
Soul, okay. So that's a very important reality, okay? So number one, we have to be so grateful that God took us out of Egypt and that we are people. He took us people, we, the Jewish people, he took us out of Mitzrayim, out of a place where our free will choice was totally constrained, right? And the way it's written, it's like he took each and every one of us out of such a circumstance and will continue to take us out of such circumstances. So it's not like Hashem just said, okay, this is this one deal. I'm only take you one time out and you're done. No, I'm the Lord your God who takes you out all the time from these kind of places and from places where which restrain you and you feel like you don't have any free will choice. And I open up circumstances so that your mind and your heart and your, neshama can choose, right? And that you have to know, it's a very interesting idea. Like before the baby's born, what happens to every baby while it's in the womb? What's the Torah tell you happens?
Oh, they learn Torah.
Yeah, isn't it so nice? It says that all of us learn Torah. Sometimes like when you're learning, you go, boy, I heard that somewhere. Okay, so the Torah tells you often it's a deja vu from when you were learning in your mother's womb. It's a very beautiful idea. Why is it good for us to have had that experience and then learn Torah? Why is it good?
Should make it easier.
Yes. Yes, it does.
Brain.
It does. Okay, so you have like that neural pathway. So you have spiritual neural pathways. The 6 constant mitzvahs are taught to you in the olam of neshamas. You come down here with an understanding and an inclination towards those 6 constant mitzvahs.
Why doesn't everybody have that knowledge then?
They do. We all do. I am no better than you, and you are no better than me, and no one is better than anyone. And every one of us who has, enlightened ourselves and Baruch Hashem made these choices are no different than everyone else out there who had opportunities and probably could have done the same. I'm just being honest. Why is it that most of the people do not eat healthy? Why is it that most of the people still smoke?
But they know that. They know they're not eating healthy.
Yeah, but guess what?
But here they don't know that.
I don't know. I think it's a combination of things. They don't want to know. We're going to talk about that. This is one of the constant mitzvahs because you can even know that there is Hashem. You can know all this and doesn't mean you'll be the quality of religiousness that you really want. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't mean it won't be hard and we won't make a million mistakes and we won't fall and we won't, do you know what I'm saying? This is a process, okay? But I'm telling you, you are wired for this process because otherwise you would never be able to do it. I'm sorry, this is home field advantage to the body. None of us would be able to do this if we were not wired towards these ideas. Okay, so we are definitely wired spiritually towards these ideas, okay? So Hashem says, I did something amazing, something that you can really relate to, and you can relate to it over and over and over again. There will be tons of times in your lifetime on your journey in this planet where you will feel very restrained and very lost and very far. You call me out like you called me for Mitzrayim, and I promise you I'll take you out. And I will give you the freedom to be able to flex that spiritual muscle of yours and to become that person that you really want to become. Okay, so sorry, it's also extremely important for us. So now I want to tell you the first time you see the word Amunah in the Torah, it's so bizarre. Like it's really a bizarre place. And so I therefore want us to really look at what the definition of Amunah is, because it's a very hard word to translate. It's not so easy. Like, so what do we usually, what's the word Amunah mean? What's the word we usually say?
Trust?
No, close. This is how we have to know all this. Faith. Okay, so we usually say the word faith. Now, faith is an interesting, kind of ambiguous. Like, so what does faith mean? Like, give me sentences with the word faith. Like, there's so many words for faith. Like, what's faith? Faith can be a noun. Like, no, like faith sounds like
believe.
Yeah, a belief, like the Jewish faith, the Christian faith, this faith, that. Okay, so it's people's belief. Now it's very interesting. So where do you think belief is coming from? Is that the mind, the heart? Is it emotional? Is it like, I'm really being honest. Like I'm really trying to get us to really get it. On the Wizard of Oz. Okay, so what's one of the highest highlights of the Wizard of Oz, right? The wizard goes off in the balloon, right? Like it's the saddest thing. Like we're all like, no, get back here, Dorothy's not in that, and we're all so sad, right? And then what's her name comes flying down, the good witch, in the white dress. What's her name? Glenn. Okay, so Glenn, comes down, and like Dorothy's like, we're all of us, we're like, our hearts are broken because Dorothy's getting stuck and she has to go home. And what does Glenda say? How is Dorothy going to get to go home, everybody?
She's gonna top her shoes, but she has to think, I want to go home. That's
Yes,
how
she has to believe.
believe.
Believe. She has to believe. You have to believe in your heart, Dorothy, and you have to believe. And then she has to go home, right? That's what has to happen. Okay. So when you think about belief, especially in the way I think the world that we live in explains it, it's very emotional. I don't think belief is necessarily such an intellectual understanding, right or wrong, because there's a very, it's interesting. Anochi Hashem Elokecha means it's not you believe. Okay, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, we know that there was this Mamad Har Sinai, that this happened. The whole world says this happened. Christianity says it has happened. Islam says it's a historical fact. Okay, but is it enough just to know something? You have to know, and you have to
Trust. No,
believe.
trust doesn't.
Trust is the second part of belief. Trust is the action of belief, 100%. So you have to know, you have to believe, and then if you want to prove it to me, then you trust and you act. Right? So it's like, I know you're my mommy, I believe you're my mommy, right? I know you're my mother, but I would really have to do a DNA test. You know what I mean? Like, it's not enough for you today. Just told me that you had me in the hospital. Okay. Do you know what I mean? So you have to know, believe, and then I trust, and then I'm going to treat you like my mommy. You know what I'm saying? Do you see what's going on here? But this Anochi Hashem Elokecha Asher Tzeicha Me'eretz Mitzrayim, Hashem wants you to know and to believe. So I know that you took me out of Egypt. I know you cared about the Jewish people. I know that this gives me purpose. That's the whole concept here. So yay, I believe that there is a God. Whoop-de-doo, So Hashem says, yeah, you believe in me. You believe I took you out of Egypt. And then what else did I do? I also gave you the Torah. So it's very, very interesting. There are some great rabbis who add on to those 5 mitzvahs, that I tell 6 mitzvahs, that you also have to believe Hashem gave you the Torah, and you have to believe in Mashiach. Because the whole point of all of this belief and all of this feeling and all of this is to give you purpose every day. So that you wake up in the morning and you know why you're on this planet. So you don't ever get depressed. You don't look around and say, I have nothing to do today. I am nothing. I am this, I am that. The world doesn't need me. I don't make such nice money, and I'm getting wrinkles and pimples, and I'm gaining weight, and what am I doing, and blah, 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 and all the wonderful things that come into our heads, right? So you never have to feel that way. You have to stop and say, you know what? I believe I got a lot to accomplish, and I have a short time to do it. And what I do matters, not only for me, but for the whole wide world. Okay, so that's what's going on here. Like, this stuff is heavy. So let's say I'm about to, answer the door with that Susie girl, right? Right? So I kind of weigh that now. Like, I'm going to go, me having to go, or a whole world of kindness and belief, and what I do matters, and life is short, and I'm here to collect my mitzvahs. Which one is worth it? Or doing the next right thing? Right? Right? getting all depressed, eating 5 bags of chips, sitting in front of Netflix, drowning in my sorrows, right? Or, I don't know, pick up the phone, speak to a friend. Better than that, open up a Tehillim and say something, even if it's 3 sentences, and ask Hashem to help me get my head on straight. Know why I'm here for a minute. Don't let me get lost in all this. It's just a waste. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's what we're trying to build you. We're trying to build you with both belief in that you want it and you love it and it's exciting and it's there and it's part of who you are. And then intellectually, right? To really know, like when I read the Torah, it is so relevant. It's freaky. Like something that's 3,000 and something years old. Like how many books can you open that are 3,000 years old and it would still matter? Okay, no, I'm not like, no, do you ever stop and think about that? Like, I don't even think you could open a recipe book that's 3,000 years old and it would still matter. No, I'm being real. Do you know what I'm saying? Like a book that you could open and it can touch you and your children and your grandparents and your baby and your this and your that. And it's going to address every issue in the year 2021. And it may even address it now in a way that's more important than ever, right? Like it may tell you to keep Shabbat now in a world that doesn't know how to shut down for 5 seconds, who beeps and blurps and schmurps and derps and this and takes people's lives over. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Like these are, this is like all miraculous. Okay, so it's really something special. Okay. Now let me see what else I wanted to say. Okay, so where do we see this word Amuna? Because we want to know this idea of the Amuna. So it's a very interesting, as we're saying, like is Amuna, knowing it, is Amuna feeling it? What is Amuna, right? We said it could be faith, like the Jewish faith of this. What is it? Okay, so in Parshas Bishalach, okay, so the Jewish people have left. Okay, now we're going to be, we're out of Egypt, we're out. And there's only one nation in the world that always wants to go after the Jews. What's the nation that we have a mitzvah to destroy them in the end of time?
Amalek.
Yes, okay, Amalek. Because what do they do to the Jewish people? Amalek brings suffix, brings doubt into the Jewish people. So now the Jewish people are going to war with them. They have come. There isn't a nation that isn't shaking in its boots, okay? The Jewish people have just taken down the world superpower, okay? We have walked out of China. I wish you could say it was America. I'm not sure if it is anymore. Okay, so we have walked out of China, all right? 3 million of us after being slaves, chas v'shalom there, right? And the whole country is destroyed, okay? Flattened, Kaputsky, gone, all right? So could you imagine all, okay, it's even on CNN and they're even telling the truth, okay? It's all over. No, they're not. Sandy's probably more smart than I am, okay? And that's on social media. It's all over, okay? So everyone in the world is like, ah! Comes chutzpahdik Amalek. Comes chutzpahdik Amalek. No big deal. We're going to cool the water down. And they come right after the Jewish people, and they're smart. They go to the back where all the, slower, older people are walking. That's where we're going to go and attack. Fine. So now Shem makes a miracle. Okay, now we're having this fight. The miracle is that when Moshe's arms are up, right, and the Jewish people are fighting against these people, they look up. They see Moshe's arms up, they win. But when Moshe starts to put his arms down, they start losing, okay? So here's what the Chumash tells you. So let me just tell you what it says. Okay, and the pasuk says, Moshe's hands were very heavy. So they took a stone, and Moshe got to sit on the stone. And then Aaron and Hur, I think was Miriam's husband. I'm not sure who Hur was, very famous person, but right now it's slipping my mind. Okay, so they're on one side each of Moshe, and they're supporting his arms. Okay, so they're physically supporting his arms. And here's what the Torah tells you, that his hands were Amuna until the sun set. His hands were Amuna until the sun set, okay? So what does that mean? Like, it's a very, like, Amuna. What is hands were Amuna? What was going on here? So what did Rashi say here? That his hands were like he had emunah. His hands were up, like they were in faith. They were davening. They were pointing towards Hashem. Okay, so his hands were stretched out in faith, right? In prayer, right? And the Rambam says that his hands, in a sense, it's an interesting way of saying it, they were faithful. His hands were faithful. What does that mean? They stayed fixed. They stayed steadfast. They stayed dependable. They stayed consistent. They stayed up. They were ready the entire time in that position. So it's an interesting idea for us to understand what it means when we say Amunah. Okay, so when we have belief in Hashem, I think it's like a two-way street. Okay, we're believing in Hashem that he is faithful, that he's reliable, that he's consistent, that he's there for us. And guess what? Hashem has faith in the Jewish people nonetheless. Every morning you wake up, you say, Moda ani lefanecha melechai dekayam shechazarta bi nishmasi v'chem le'raba amunasecha. Great is your faith. Every time Hashem returns your soul to you, it's with faithfulness. What's the faithfulness? Hashem has faith in you. That just like you believe in him and that he's there for you, he knows you are there for him. You're there in his service. You're there wanting to make the world a better place. You're there thinking about what is the next right thing to do. You're there wanting to fight this Yetzer Hara and to complete it. Right? It's really something. And that's what the 6 constant mitzvahs are, because you are constantly, I want to tell you this, it's a good thing for us to know. So anytime you just kind of feel bad about like, why do I have to be challenged? So let me explain to you. The Torah tells you that a mitzvah is not considered a mitzvah unless there's tension. What does that mean? Isn't that interesting? It's not considered a mitzvah unless there's tension. What does that mean?
There has to be effort.
Yes. Effort. In other words, you would not, like what you said before, I don't want to do it. Okay? Or it's not easy. I do want to say Lashon Hara. I'm sorry. Right? It's not simple for me. This isn't just rolling off. This isn't just happening. Do you know what I mean? It's tough. All right? That's why it is tough. Okay? Because otherwise it wouldn't be a mitzvah. So this is something that we need to put into our head. Okay, so this is something where we need to appreciate and we need to understand. So I thought this was like really very beautiful, this whole idea of Hashem's faith in us and our faith in him, and that, you know, that the tension is what makes the mitzvah. The tension is what brings out this idea of Amunah. Without it, you know what I mean? It's not that there's any test here. So even though it could be 100% obvious, like so many things in people's lives are 100% obvious. Like people who smoke cigarettes and they're coughing and they're sick and they're this and they're that. And it's so obvious. Okay, they've had blood tests. They're telling them this is the worst thing for you. You got to stop. So obvious. They still can't bring themselves to do it. Right? So it's a battle. And the more the better you get at it, the more Hashem will test you with more cuckoo ideas in your head. It's just the way it goes. So we can appreciate it. So that's good. It means we're alive, okay? Which is a good thing, right? Okay, so Baruch Hashem. All right, so let me just see. So I just want to end, because it's we don't have time. I just want to end with a very beautiful idea that I noticed in Vayechi, in the Parsha, because when it comes to Amunah, you're going to have to really work on it. When you have to look about, when I tell you, Anochi Hashem Elokecha asher hotzicha me'eretz Mitzrayim, you got to say to yourself, that happens to you every single day. Every day, God is taking me out of Egypt. And the only way you're going to know it is if you're looking for it. Okay, so I want to tell you, if you look here, I really found this very meaningful. So Yaakov, in the end, okay, so now Yaakov is dying and he wants to give a bracha to all of his sons. And more than give the bracha to all of his sons, he wanted to tell them when Mashiach was coming. Okay, so he understands, like he is the father of exile. He gets that the Jewish people are now going to go into the most challenging periods in history that have ever been. All right, and they have to survive all this. So he puts them together and he says like this, then Jacob called for his sons and he said, assemble yourselves and I will tell you what will befall you. And it's interesting, ma kara. So the word in Hebrew, kara, is usually kuf, resh, hey, and that means happen. I will tell you what will happen. But he says ma kara with an aleph, and I will tell you what will call you. Okay, that's a very different understanding. He said, I'm going to tell you in the end of days that everything that's happening is calling you. What does that mean, that everything that's happening is calling you? What does that mean? Explain.
Attention.
What?
It needs your attention.
It needs your attention. So everything that's happening to who? To you. Okay, so everything that's happening to you, things are bothering you, things are thising you, things are thating you, things are happening. This is happening, this one's late, the kid is this is that, your money this, you're that, your health is up, this is down, this is around, your friend is here. Do you know what I mean? Like things are happening, but they're not an accident, Yaakov is saying. They're not a haphazard, just happen to be that this is what's happening. It's a call directly from Hashem. And he was saying, Yaakov said to them, everything that's happening has purpose. And Rav Hirsch is saying, it is for you to hear it and to understand it. That's our job. So when something is bugging you and thising you and thatting you, it's your job not to ignore it, not to think it's nothing, not to think it just, I don't know why that happened. I don't know why this happened. I don't know why I'm feeling this way. I don't know why this, and I don't know why that. Hashem is going, hello. Well, you know what? If you know the 6 constant mitzvahs, try to put them in. Use them as little hearing aids. Okay, they can be those, earbuds that everybody walks around with. Okay, put them in and use them, filter and see and hear through these 6 constant mitzvahs. And then you'll see, oh, maybe that's what Hashem is saying. Oh, I get it. You see? So really, like, this stuff is so, I find it extremely deep. It's very deep. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And this should be, again, an aliyah to David Ben Shaul. And I find it so beautiful that that's his name. Betty, it's a beautiful name because I feel like it puts David HaMelech and Shaul HaMelech together. You always sort of see them in a separate world. And I'm so happy, like, a name, David Ben Shaul, it was a time it comes together, and it was in peace and a creation of a beautiful.
And he was a beautiful person.
Yeah,
That's
a creation of a beautiful person. It's really nice.
I have a question. Do we have the
Sure.
6 constant mitzvahs in this book?
No, that's the 6 constant things to remember. Okay.
So where is it written?
Okay, so I've got to find, I'll find it for you. It's in another book, but if not, I'll write it up one day. Like I'll make a sheet with them, okay, when we start to get into them.
I found a very nice copy on the internet. If I found,
there's a good, if you find
well, I
it.
didn't save it.
I have one. Let me go get it. You want me to go get it right now?
No, Cheryl,
send
if you
it.
find
Just send it.
send it to me and I'll send it out to everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
A
Thank you.
wonderful good night and
Thank
refer
you.
to us.
Thank you very much. Bye.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.